asking him about upholding their oath to the Constitution. Look what they do to him. They beat him. Warning, this is disturbing. Look at that guy beating on him. Mr. David, as you can see, never flinched while he was being struck with the baton. They finally sprayed him in the face. Joining me now is that oath to the Constitution. Look what they do to him. They beat him. Warning, this is disturbing. This is disturbing. Portland is bracing for yet more protests tonight, where, like previous nights, federal agents will again patrol the protests. And the president indicated that this may be coming to more American cities.
There was a report out this morning that you're considering sending 175 federal troops to these cities to help local law enforcement. Can you fill us in on that?
It depends on what your definition of troops is. We're sending law enforcement. Portland was totally out of control. We're looking at Chicago, too. We're looking at New York. Look at what's going on.
Depends on what your definition of troops is. That's going to come up in a minute, so just hold that thought. Back in Portland, the backlash to this federal invasion, as some people call it, is growing. The mayor's calling what happened a, quote, direct threat to democracy. Protesters are remaining in the streets with a group called Moms, look at them, Moms Against Police Brutality, linking arms to protect the protesters on Sunday, to protect peaceful protesters from armed federal agents using weapons on them. Overnight, agents fired tear gas, scattering the self-named walls of mud. That's who they fired tear gas at. And then their 53-year-old Naval Academy graduate named Chris David. That's him in the sweatshirt, the Navy sweatshirt. This military veteran was so disturbed by the images of federal agents throwing protesters into unmarked cars that he took it upon himself to visit the protests on Saturday night, to talk to those agents, to ask them what they're thinking, why they're doing this. This video is of Mr. David approaching federal agents to talk to them, upholding their oath, asking him about upholding their oath to the Constitution. Look what they do to him. They beat him. Warning, this is disturbing. Look at that guy beating on him. Mr. David, as you can see, never flinched while he was being struck with the baton. They finally sprayed him in the face. Joining me now is that Navy veteran, Chris David. Mr. David, thank you for being with us. It's kind of unbelievable. I can't believe how you didn't flinch. This guy had two arms on a baton, and he's hitting you in the legs and about the body. Are you injured?
Yeah, I did get injured. Principally, my arm was broken. But in addition to that, I've got, some bruising all over my body from the baton.
What a remarkable thing. You went there to talk to them. You are a veteran of the United States Navy, and you had a sense that federal officers or agents or whatever you want to call these guys, people working for the federal government in enforcement of law, have a responsibility. They swear an oath. You went to talk to them about that. You weren't up in anybody's business. You weren't causing trouble. You just wanted to talk.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to do, was just talk to them. And the thing that was so upsetting was that there didn't seem to be any recognition that as a veteran, I was even going to be listened to or treated any differently than anybody else. And that sort of makes sense, because if they're going to gas moms, they're going to beat up vets.
The president was asked about sending in more troops, or whatever he calls them. He calls them federal enforcement officers. What did you see on these people? Because we're getting reports that they don't have identifying badges. You can't tell who they are. They don't have the name of an agency. Some of them have vests that say police, but anybody can pick those up. Who do you think they are?
Oh, I have no idea to this day who they actually were. I've still mystified, and I'm not sure I have a good answer as to who those gentlemen were. Were they Customs and Border Patrol? Were they Marshal Service? Were they Federal Protection Service? Nobody knows. I haven't gotten a good answer on that. I think that would be a good question for Ken Cuccinelli.
Yeah, well, he says that what you're seeing in Portland, I'm putting words in his mouth, but it seems to be a pilot project. They're talking about meeting resistance, as they call it, anywhere in America. What do you make of that?
Well, I do think this is the test case. I do think this is supposed to be the first domino that falls. What we're finding is that they probably were using Portland as a testing ground for rolling out in other cities, and Trump pretty much listed exactly what those cities were going to be, which are Chicago, New York, and any place he decides that he doesn't like to see protesting happen.
I am glad to talk to you, Chris David, and I'm sorry that you're injured. It is remarkable footage. Thank you for going and trying to talk to these people and asking them what they believe they're doing and how that relates to the oath that they've taken. Thank you, sir. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Congressman John Lewis's tireless pursuit of justice and the fight for voting rights that he dedicated his life to. Congresswoman Maxine Waters on continuing his legacy coming up. Asking him about upholding their oath to the Constitution. Look what they do to him. They beat him. Warning, this is disturbing. Look at that guy beating on him. Mr. David, as you can see, never flinched while he was being struck with the baton. They finally sprayed him in the face. Joining me now is that